Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's good. Mr. Lorellis here, out in the woods of North Carolina, as you could see. I thought we'd do something a little bit different today. Some of y'all might remember a story I told you, probably earlier in the year. I usually tell the story at least a couple of times a year about how a long time ago, a eagle came in and viciously attacked my family's chickens. Some of y'all might have believed the story. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought, it's a fun story. We enjoy these stories with Mr. Lorellis. But, is Mr. Lorellis' family really have chickens, right? Is he really telling the truth? Well, there's your proof right there, guys. We got the chickens, okay? Those are all of them. Right now we have 5. A little bit later, you guys are going to be giving them all names because my family didn't name them. But another thing that I want to talk about right at the beginning of this video is, I told a lot of y'all the story about how the eagle attacked the chickens, and that would make the eagle a predator, as many of y'all know. A lot of you have also seen movies like Zootopia, where they get into some of the greater details about predators and prey and stuff like that. There are 2 other natural predators in this area for chickens. I want you to start by guessing what they might be. They don't fly. I'll give you that clue. Okay. So the other 2 natural predators in this area don't fly. Now there's thousands of natural predators for chickens, but in this area there are just 2 other ones besides the eagles. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about how we take care of the chickens, how we kind of tend to them, how we get the eggs and all that kind of stuff. Should be pretty interesting, guys. All right, so here we go. All right, guys, here we go. Now, as you can see, the first thing I want y'all to do is just kind of a little fun thing. In a second, I want you to hit the pause button. You can see all these different chickens. Hit the pause button and name each one. And maybe we'll compare names later and talk about which names are the best. Because they don't really have names, so maybe you guys can help me name them. You can help me pick out names for the chickens, because I kind of felt it was weird for my family to have all these chickens without names. So hit the pause button. Give them all a name. Go ahead and do that. All right, guys, now that you've named all the chickens, here's my first question. You see this net that's surrounding the chicken coop. You have it over the top here especially, and you have the fencing and stuff like that on the side. But my question is, if you have the fence on the side to keep the chickens from kind of running away, and they can't fly, so why do we need this little net on top? Some of y'all might be reminded of the story that I told y'all from before that I was referencing about the chickens. Think about stories Mr. Lorellis has told you about the chickens and why we would need a net all the way up here. Now, some of y'all might notice, and again, you can pause to turn a talk with anybody at the house, that might be watching it with you, or you can just kind of write it down, take a moment. You can answer those questions at your leisure. But you notice a lot of them come walking up to me when I come to the coop. That's because they think I'm going to feed them. They think I'm going to give them more food, and sometimes my daughters, they'll come down and throw them like apples or bugs or something like that, which they eat as well. And y'all might, not know this, but, the chickens eat a variety of different things. So sometimes chickens eat bugs, sometimes they eat grass, and then sometimes they eat what's in here, which is called chicken feed. And chicken feed is just like corn and wheat and other kinds of foods like that they like to eat. Now, the other thing that y'all might notice about the chicken coop is, it takes a while to build. And, it took my family a few years to kind of really get it completely together. And you might notice all these rocks kind of along the bottom here. And then if you look here, you see these long pieces of wood all at the bottoms right there. Huge pile of rocks right next to the coop. Why do we need these rocks, guys? Think about why we would need those rocks, okay? Turn and talk about that for a second if you get a moment, Why do we need all these rocks and all this wood and stuff like that around the chicken coop, okay? Now, as you can see over there, we got a little sunroof. Let me just show you all this. The sunroof is sometimes, if it's really hot during the day, the chickens like to be in the shade. So they'll kind of huddle under here, they'll go back in their house, but the sunroof's a little bit cooler. So they'll, hold on, baby. Sorry about that, guys. You're going to have to wait, Bubba. I'm in the middle of doing something. You got to wait, okay? Just wait, baby. All right, sorry about that, guys. So what was I saying? So they got the sunroof, and they like the sunroof because that kind of keeps them in the shade when they kind of like want to get out of the sun. And then, that's kind of cool. One thing that they do a lot is they kind of they kind of walk around the coop and they kind of look for different food. If they see a bug, they'll eat a bug and stuff like that. Now, another question I have is, if they're already kind of in here, right? They're fenced in. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to get away. Why do we need their little house over there, the hen house, the chicken coop? Okay? Why do we need that? I want you all to think about that, and maybe you can guess the answer before I go and show you why, because later I'm going to show you guys why we have the chicken coop in the first place. Okay? See, they make little sounds all day long. They're kind of noisy chickens. Okay? And the other reason, guys, that they have to kind of stay inside all day is because chickens, you know, I hate to say this because, you know, they're kind of fun and cute, but they're really not very smart. Like, dogs are pretty smart. Even pigs and other animals like that are actually pretty smart. Chickens are not. And so the thing is, anytime a chicken is kind of out there by itself, any animal that wants to eat it, whether it be a fox or a raccoon or just whatever else, can kind of just get it. There's really not much chickens can do to defend themselves. Like if a animal's going after a deer knows how to kind of run away. A deer can kick it. There's all these things a deer can do to protect itself when an animal's trying to eat it. But chickens really have none of those what we call defense mechanisms. So they're very, you know, they're very vulnerable. So, you know, you kind of have to keep chickens in here most of the day, or kind of be watching them anytime I leave. So sometimes my dad lets them out and they'll walk around, but he has to kind of keep his eye on them. All right, and that might help you answer, that information might help you answer some of the other questions I was asking before. All right, so the other thing y'all will see over here is a little trap. And again, this gets to some of the things we were talking about before. Maybe y'all can help answer some of these questions myself. I won't tell you exactly what animals. I gave you the names of two. But we have these traps near the coops that have food in them, right? And so what'll happen is, let's say it's a fox or a raccoon, which is two that I already told you about, will come here. They'll go into one of these traps trying to get the food, and they'll set the trap in this little part. This back door right here will close, okay? And then what'll happen the next morning, you know, my dad will kind of put the trap in his car and bring the animal to the other side of town and let it out there. That way it doesn't kind of come back and go after the chickens again. But the crazy thing is that, you know, raccoons can get over almost anything. So like raccoons can climb, they can dig really, really well. So, you know, even here, the raccoons can kind of get underneath. You know, they can like dig right here underneath the door and get right into the chicken area. But that's why we actually have that coop, because that coop is kind of impenetrable by any animals. Raccoons can't get in there. Foxes can't get in there. No animals that would want to eat the chickens would be able to get in there. So they go there at night, so that way when there's kind of nobody here, the animals that come out at night and kind of look for prey can, you know, can kind of, you know, will not be able to get in. All right, so let me show you all the inside of the coop. I'm going to warn you now, it's not the prettiest place in the world, and it's definitely not the best smelling place in the world. You can imagine chickens do not use toilets, so I'll just leave it at that, and y'all will probably see what I'm talking about when we get inside the coop. I'm not going to even go all the way in, though. I'm just going to kind of look here, and you guys can kind of look through the window of the coop. So, if we look right here, you guys can kind of see inside the coop. As you can see, it's kind of a poop massacre in here. It's just poop everywhere. But there are also eggs, right? And y'all might think that's gross. I might also just point out that your eggs that you get in the store come from the same place. They come from a chicken coop. Not one exactly like this. It's usually a little bit smaller because they make a lot more of them. There's some eggs right there. And the main thing, you know, and companies do this now, when they take the eggs out, they'll wash them very thoroughly before they give them to you. But it's never a bad idea to wash some eggs because, you know, you never know. As you can see, it's not exactly a place you'd want to be hanging out. The chickens seem to like it for some reason, but you know, not a place I'd be wanting to chill. So yeah, so that's the chicken coop. You get the eggs right there, and maybe a little bit later, when my daughters come down because they help my dad get the eggs, we can do that. But one thing I'm sure you will imagine you would do after getting the eggs is what, y'all? Say it with me. Wash your hands. That's what you're going to be doing after you ever touch any wild animal like chickens or anything like that. You wash your hands because, you know, and it's a good idea to wash your hands and do all that kind of stuff now anyway. But definitely after you get some chicken eggs, you wash the eggs really thoroughly and then you wash your hands. My dad actually puts them in vinegar for about, you know, 10 minutes and then washes them. That way we can just be really careful. So that's the chicken coop, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed the little tour. You know, if you have any questions or there's anything that you're wondering about the coop, feel free to let me know. You can kind of like just write it in the messages or the comments, and I'd love to answer any questions you have. I might have to ask my dad because he's kind of like the chicken expert in the house, and he could probably tell you a little bit more. But any questions you might have about the chickens, guys, feel free to write in the comments. And I miss you guys, and I hope y'all are doing well. Okay, bye, guys. All right, y'all. These are my daughters, Anaya and Samaya. Say hey, babies. And they're going to go show you guys how we go get the eggs from the chicken coop. All right, come on, babies. Let's go.
Come on, guys. You're going to come. You're going to see it. Take mine.
All right, here we go. You remove the little hook there so the coop can open up. And the chickens are going to probably come in because they want to know what's going on. But I'm going to say, get away from my babies.
Get away.
Get away. And we see 2 eggs right there, the ones that y'all saw before. You see them?
Oh,
All right, go get those 2 eggs. Oh, and that guy just laid one. Look at that. He just laid an egg. See, he just moved out. Or she, I'm sorry.
Daddy, look, a feather.
And she just laid an egg. So let's put, so they're going to grab the eggs.
There's a lot of eggs today.
Yeah, there's a lot of eggs.
Daddy, I see a feather. Get out.
Go ahead, baby, get that egg. It's okay. Get
Daddy,
that.
I see a feather.
Yeah, get the egg, baby.
I don't see any.
There's one.
There's one. There's a lot. This one is dirty.
I put it in the thing.
This one's dirty. That one's dirty. Yeah. Oh, this
No.
one's cracked.
One thing we're going to do after we do this, guys. Now, be careful.
I have to wash our hands.
We got to wash our hands.
On there.
Yep. Be careful when you put that in, baby. Go ahead. Put it in.
Oh.
Careful, Samaya. There we go, Bubba. All right, good. Then we shut that. We walk out. There we go. And then we're going to go do what? What are we going to do?
Wash your hands.
Wash our hands. And that's how you do it, guys. That's how you get the eggs out of a chicken coop. Here, I got it, guys. I got it. Watch out. I'm going to do this first. And we hook the latch back on right there. And then we're good.
And then we're going to wash your hands.
And we have all these beautiful eggs now.
And
But again, we have to make sure, watch out, baby. We have to make sure that we wash them first and clean them before we do anything else. Okay?
Come on. It doesn't all dirty. We can wash it.
All right, guys. This is the last part of the video. We're walking down to the chicken coop here. And, my daughter is about to go feed the chickens. Okay? Now, what we got is little pieces of bagel. Like that. They eat all types of stuff. They eat bugs, they eat grass, they eat corn. They have these things in their feed that have like wheat and stuff like that in them. But they also really like bread and stuff like that. So we're about to feed them some little pieces of bagel. You can kind of see them already kind of getting into it here.
I think they're going to talk.
You break it up into small pieces, baby. See what happens when you throw a big piece in there like that. See, maybe they don't want to eat that piece because then they have to break it apart.
You could. Can I get one?
Yeah, just break it up. Here, break it up, baby.
Can I get another bagel?
That's all we got, baby. But here, your sister's got some extra. Here. Okay? Break it up into small pieces. And you want to break it up into small pieces because if you can see that big piece over there, looks like they didn't really want to eat it. Maybe it's too big and it's hard for them to break it up all by themselves. So, usually want to break their food up into small pieces. Yep, they don't have hands, baby. That's right.
I don't got on his back. Maybe he got on his back. Oh, maybe he got it something. He ate it over here. I put it right there. And they pay. Okay. Hey, what are you doing? More? Oh, that's good.
All right, guys, so that's the end of the lesson. That's the chickens eaten. I think we showed you pretty much everything. We showed you getting the eggs. We took you through the coop and the different parts of the coop. And this is the chickens eaten. As you can see, they got that big pile of grass over there. And probably if you watch the video, you probably noticed some nibbling on that as well. All right, and actually you can see a little bit better now because it's not covered this time, is that's their feed. They eat those little pellets and stuff like that over there, which have, again, like little pieces of corn and wheat and just ground up stuff that they kind of make into those little pellets for the chickens to eat. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.